Well, welcome. Today, Lauren, Christine, and I are going to be talking about sun transits 8 and 20. So we're going to explore around and see what we can learn and what we can play with over the next two periods of 5.5 days.
Yeah.
So, Christine, you just mentioned we're in throat gates.
Yes, we are in throat gates. We're in this section of the mandala that happens to have many, I'm not sure if it's all, but many of the throat gates. And so we've gone through uh, a couple recently. I can't even remember. We're in 23 right now, which is a throat gate. And then tomorrow on May 15th to the 20th, the sun will be in gate 8, which is the gate of contribution. And it is an individual energy, and the voice, every throat gate has a particular voice, and this voice is I can. And so this is a certain uncertainty gate, and we can hear this because it connects directly to our identity center in the body graph. And this channel is a very creative, it's the channel of inspiration. And so it's an individual inspiration from the higher self to the throat to expression. And so there is this idea of like I can, but there's also like, oh, can I, right? There's this uncertainty in it into as well, because these are places that we're really vulnerable, right? Our identity is showing something hidden about ourselves, or something that we may not want to reveal about ourselves. And so all of these gates that connect the identity to the throat carry this I don't know, kind of extra vulnerability. But gate 8 alone on its own is the gate of contribution. It wants to take this individual knowing and use it for the purpose of contributing to something, either in the smaller group or in the collective. And so that's what it's tracking for. And I think that that is probably what we'll all be kind of looking at for the next 5 days, this idea of what can I contribute? Like, what am I really here doing? What really inspires me? And what does that mean, or how can it connect to other people and what they're doing, in a way to make, again, kind of this third energy, right? What can come together to alchemize something else?
Yeah. And it's interesting because in this gate as well, there's this, like you said, the vulnerability. And in that vulnerability, there's also the fear of being different. And like, I can't step out and be different. And so, how do we bring forth our unique contributions if we don't want somebody to see them? It seems like a conundrum to me. And when I was preparing for this, I was thinking about that Christine and I just finished teaching a course, and the almost the need for the people in the course to unlearn the conditioning and be then in a position to allow themselves to be themselves. Uh, and how much work that is in our world. So here's this beautiful gate that's saying, come forward, contribute, and oh, just a minute, be careful.
Mhm. It sounds like coming into this time feeling pretty resilient would be helpful. And if we're not feeling resilient, we might have a completely different experience. It might feel like too much. Tying in what Christine shared and Lois, what you shared, it made me think about when Lois, you were a facilitator in our coaching program and you talked about we spaces. And that's what this gate reminds me of, that alchemy magic that happens when you become more than yourself, when you're contributing with a group. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting in that because there is that need to be open and vulnerable for the we space to be felt. I mean, the we space exists, like we're here, and there's a space between the three of us, and then there's whoever's listening is in this space as well in their own way. But in that, when we just share with each other and we have different perspectives on things, that coming together in the we space brings something new.
Mhm.
There's something that like each one of us could be sitting and talking about these topics, and you'd get our perspective. But when we come together, that in that we space, something, new thoughts, new ideas, and things start to percolate. And so there's this opening for more rather than just sort of setting things on the table and saying, well, there it is. And
Yes.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because this gate, again, it's attached to gate one, which is the most creative gate in the mandala. And and this is really the thrust of it. You can contribute. I mean, you can say something and contribute, but that's not the same as contributing yourself, your
Mm.
higher knowing, your personal truth, like your piece, like a piece of your style is is the gift in the gene keys, right? Like we each have an individual frequency and an individual flavor, and if we're not contributing from that space, it isn't probably a real contribution in many ways, right? And it doesn't, I don't think it really um alchemizes in the same way as what you're talking about in this third space, right? Where it kind of falls flat. The other person, there's nobody else, they can't pick it up and do anything with it, right? So this ability to really, again, be vulnerable and share your own personal view of something and take on something is really key. And so again, like this time, it might be a really great time to just play around with that, right? Like really try to see like what is it about your unique view that is different than other people. Like we want difference, and what we're not getting in modernity is this understanding that actually difference is what makes us whole, and what makes us beautiful, and what makes the whole thing work, really.
it's interesting related to that was when I was looked at the I Ching, and it's like I'm just gonna look. It's like finding a magnetic leader, and that then people not there not be stragglers. People need to get on board with that. And but going back to what you were saying, Christine, is that even though you can have a magnetic leader, you still need all the people around the leader with all of those different perspectives and the things coming together that the leader couldn't have come up with
Mhm.
on their own. I mean, even the most amazing leaders we've had didn't do it by themselves. And so it's because they think sometimes people think, well, if we just had the right leader, everything would be okay. But we all have a part in that. And so it's that coming together, and like in democracies like we live in, all of those voices. I mean, that's a huge we space, but it's a little messed up right now, isn't it?
Yeah, but maybe this gate will give us some opportunity for feelings. Some astrology tells us there might be some shifts in things this week. So, and we've got this beautiful new moon happening just a day after we're into the 5.5 days. I'm really curious in the different ways folks might experience this. And Christine, listening to what you were saying about sharing that thing that's truly yours and your perspective, I believe in the energy of these gates, that those opportunities show up and they like knock on the door, and they will a couple times, and it may take you the first or second time before you're like, oh, I get this, I'm supposed to say that thing. So it would be really fun experiment for you just to be super aware of who you're sitting with and what the conversation is and what your unique contribution would be.
Yeah, I love that. And also, the polarity gate, as the sun is in gate 8, the earth is in gate 14. Gate 14 is power skills, right? And it's this life force energy to move directionally and to be resourced, right? It is kind of like if they don't, I mean, we try not to talk about these gates this way too much, but this is like a money gate, right? Like this is a gate that knows how to make things happen in the world and can make them, make money off of them even if they want, but it's a resourced gate, right? And so I bring that up because as you're maybe experimenting with this place about speaking your truth or contributing this thing that only you can contribute, you know, you're grounded by this energy, in this really powerful energy to go your own direction and to be and to say your own thing. It's also an individual gate. These are both individual gates. And so there is real energy, I think, these next few days to really just try it out. Like if it's not your normal thing to say the thing that you know in your head, but you don't feel comfortable saying, like this might be a great time to try it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't say things because they're afraid of pushback or conflict of some form. So is to approach that in I'm just saying, right? I'm not attacking what you think or any big ideas or anything. I'm just saying what I'm thinking. This is what I think would be a good idea. And coming from a place like that, it can sometimes land a little easier and be easier to say.
Yeah. With my kids, I'm always like, I wonder if we did it this way. Every now and then that will actually work.
Yeah, I'm getting curious with them.
Yeah.
I think really helps. Well, I have a Gemmo that I think might help folks with this because saying that thing requires resilience. And if we say it and we're dysregulated, it might sound snarky. If we are timid, it might not get heard. So what we want to be is regulated and able to tap into our authentic self. And last year when this came around, I suggested mistletoe, and I will second that again this year with a couple additional thoughts. So there's a couple pieces that make mistletoe right here. So mistletoe can't grow on its own. It has to have a host plant. And what's really interesting is that starts out as a dependency, but it moves into a give and take between the two. And so when you talk about from the I Ching perspective, Lois, and finding this powerful leader, that's exactly what mistletoe does. Its primary source is crabapple, and it will attach itself. Almost all crabapple trees are prone to having mistletoe in it because it's the perfect host for it. But when we're looking at the essence of the extract itself, it is the I can Gemmo. And this is really cool. I hadn't thought about this last year, but what mistletoe does is it is what we call one of these organizing extracts. So it's harmonizing the autonomic system in a way that allows us to step into life and stay regulated. And one of the keynotes of meeting is when life feels like a fire hose coming at us all at once, to hold our center and be able to tap into ourselves. And it gives you that confidence that I can. This is a lot, which that's what we're all saying right now. I mean, that's the number one phrase I hear when I'm at the co-op grocery shopping. It's a lot, isn't it? That's become a safe phrase, I think, for people to share. Like, oh, it's a lot. And so mistletoe is a good one for that. So maybe during this time period, testing it. On the flip side, if you're coming into this gate super regulated, super resilient, first of all, I want to know who you are. Send me a little note because I want to be friends. Second is and I want to know your secrets. If that's true, though, I think Crabapple would take you to the next level because it could be a host for those that need that kind of support. So it might be kind of fun to play with those, but it's also a great opportunity to tap in, like, am I feeling resilient or I'm feeling a little depleted right now?
Yeah. And it's interesting because you were talking about this dependence to independence, but now you're talking about interdependence.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's a beautiful way to move through that. without it being frightening. Because to move from being dependent to independent seems like a big jump, like I'm going to do or say my thing. And I need to differentiate myself from everybody else, which is interesting because we're not really all that individual, but we need to feel that individuality so that we can then access the interdependence.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's really fascinating, Lois, because it actually leads us right into gate 20 because gate 20 also a throat gate. We're also in that same space, but gate 20 is the now. Like this is, the if gate 14 is kind of the most resourced, gate 20 is the most active and most jumpy energy in the whole body graph. It struggles like it's not self-struggle, is struggling with being present, right? It has a real impatient energy. Um, and gate 20 is actually very much a part of this paradigm shift that we've talked about off and on, right? We're changing from this cross of planning to this cross of the sleeping phoenix next February or May, I can't remember, in the 2027. But this energy is going to give us a little preview, I think, of that time. And so as the sun transits into gate 20, this is one of those polarity activations where gate 34 is also the harmonic gate of the channel. So the whole 3420 channel of charisma will be on for the entire planet from the 21st to the 26th of May, which means everybody on the planet is going to be a manifesting generator. So I saw Lauren's eyes. This happens every now and then, but it happens every year when the sun is in gate 20 because of the nature of these polarities. And so this is going to be an interesting place. Again, you're definitely going to want to try to get some regulation in, I think, in gate 8, because gate 20 is going to have a lot of energy coming your way. You yourself may feel this energy. This is the energy, a design of where thoughts must become deeds, right? And so the manifesting generator, the moment they think it or see it, they're like, ooh, I got to jump into action. And so we could be seeing a lot of action like that, maybe not very well considered action as well. So paying attention to that would be very useful, I think. And recognizing too that everybody around you is going to have this energy on, and they themselves may be jumpy and impatient and not thinking things through and all of those things. So bringing some awareness to that, I think, might be really helpful towards the end of this month.
It's funny. I was just saying, well, just listening to you, need to take a breath. And really, that's what this gate is a lot about, is in that ability to be more self-regulating. And the barometer of that is so much our breath. As soon as our breath is changing, something's changing in our emotional and our nervous system. So, and you get people like what you're talking about with the busyness, and the breath gets shallower, it gets quicker. And there's, and I think when that happens is you can start getting lightheaded and you're not thinking clearly. And so there's a lot about grounding through the breath here, I think, is just really paying attention and using some of those more meditative, contemplative practices to help you through this.
I think that one thing I'm seeing coming up and hearing both of you talk, I'm looking up right now in Hillary Barrett's book, is in this movement and this, I don't know, phonetic energy, would you call it that, Christine? I think it's really easy to lose sight of the big picture. And I think that's one of the points in the I Ching, is keeping that big picture in focus there. Seen is what Hillary Barrett translates the hexagram 22, and not focusing on one thing, but seeing the entirety. And boy, is that necessary right now, right? we're all missing because we're chasing the single things. Yeah, and I think that the question that she asked for contemplation is when you stop searching. So when you're bouncing from all these things, what are you really seeing? And that might be a good regulation practice too, right? Along with the breath, is pausing and going, what am I seeing now? What that, yeah, I think as I'm saying that, I'm like, I'm gonna try that. It sounds like a great idea.
Well, it would stop us from that, like jumping into blind actions. You know, it's like what you were referring to that, Christine, is like then you're so moving so fast and you're just doing things and not thinking them through. And so just recognizing that there is all of this energy coming and that maybe there's just beyond having some gemmos that are going to help us settle it down is just to be in the recognition of it, to have the awareness that's happening and that you don't have to let it run away on you. But even I know people kind of tend to either they get overloaded and squashed by this, or they just are right in it, right? And and I'm busy dancing as fast as I can to keep up. So knowing which way you tend would be helpful here too.
Yeah, it's interesting because again, this gate 20 is a very in the moment energy, and it tends to be, and mostly we're all conditioned and we're mostly all not self, so we tend to be in the not self of that energy. But it also contains presence, right? It's I Ching name is contemplation, right? And so it also contains this this slowing down energy too, this really stopping to look and to be present energy. Um, so we will also have that available to us, right? It's just that we mostly get caught up in the moving too fast part of the energy. Everything has to be done now, right? And again, the polarity gate 34 is power. It is self empowerment power to the max in this body graph, right? And so this energy is about self empowerment. It's looking to understand how to be empowered in our own, how to be empowered in the moment to be ourselves, right? And this is what survival is for us, right? We can't really survive if we're not ourselves. And I think we're experiencing some of that on the planet, right? We see all these people in the world, and we all feel this at some points, that we are just surviving and we aren't really ourselves, right? And so it's all caught up in this energy of like, how do we differentiate, right? How do we be ourselves in a calm and contemplative way, right? Because gate 34 gives us the power to do that if we, again, like we said, take some breathe, right? Pause, all the things we always say on here. But this in particular, this gate, I think it's going to show us very clearly just how busy we are and how susceptible we are to running around like chickens with our heads cut off, quite frankly. This is how this energy behaves in the world when we aren't mindful about it. And I will also add, just as an astrology aside, Uranus has just entered gate 20 as well. And so we will also have that energy on top of it. I don't exactly know what that looks like, but my guess is that there could be some weirdness to all of this for you. So, just as another side note, that also exists.
Yeah, and I think that this moving quickly can lead to accidents, and it can lead to accidents in what we say or what we do, but also us injuring ourselves. And so this is, I think, if there were any, if I was going to carry a mantra through this week, it would be move slowly, and just taking that Tiknikon approach to, feeling every footstep and noting every sip of your tea and just dialing it down. And so the Gemmo that would help you dial that down is olive. And last year I had added on ginkgo, and to be quite honest, I don't really resonate with that this year. Olive feels really spot on for everyone. And so what Olive does is it's really interesting. So it's not a break, which is what you'd think. There we need kind of something that puts on the brake during this time. What it actually does is it expands the capacity to make room for all that's coming through. So there's processing time. So it's dilating, it's and when you look at it at a real physical level, I mean, this is my Gemmo geek coming out. If we're trying to work with blood pressure, there's different ways to do it. And the conventional medicine way is to thin the blood, right? Well, the Gemmo way is to make more room for the blood by dilating the veins and making sure the vein walls are strong and healthy. And so if you think of hoses that collapse, or right, you could thin the water so it can get through the little tiny space, or you could make the space bigger. Interesting, different perspectives. Not saying one's right or wrong, but it's just a different way of viewing it. So what I think Olive could do for all of us is give us so much more room so we don't feel like we have to do it immediately. There's time.
Yeah. There was one thing I was thinking about with this particular gate, and it's got to do with the hexagram, because I look at the hexagrams and then I look at the interpretations of them, and I go, interesting how they got from here to there. But this one, I think, spoke to me, and it's possibly because of the climate, the way it is here right now, is it's wind over Earth, and it's like super windy and going to get worse. But like there's this wind and it's moving so fast and blustery, and you're not really sure when it's going to do that. But over Earth, which is steady and firm, and so it's like, so the tension between those two. So maybe this is helping me learn, but like the tension between these two makes sense to me here, because if we recognize that there is that tension between the steadiness and the flow, is like maybe we could just let it sort of blow over or through and not get so caught up in it.
Yeah, I love that, Lois. That's exactly right. That we are grounded, right, as there is the weather all around us all the time, right? And that's the thing about these transits. It's the weather, right? We're just kind of watching the weather, and noticing where we're getting caught up in the storm, right? Or not. So I do think, again, like I said, these are throat gates. I think there is a lot of opportunity for people to make things happen for them. Again, they're individual. These 11 days has this individual flavor to it, pushing you a bit to really consider putting that thing out in the world that you have been sitting on, right? Or maybe haven't felt enough confidence around, right? Like this cadence of throat gates that we're in, I think, is really asking us to really consider that. And so that would just be my, I don't know, request to those of you who might be sitting on great things. Maybe try putting it out in the world.
I have one question with this channel open and everybody being manifesting generators during this period. Does that ramp up the already manifesting generators, or do they just get to stay where they are?
I don't think you can ramp us up anymore, but there's lots of ways to be a manifesting generator. This channel is actually what we call the pure manifesting generator. This is the only like the generator sacral directly to the throat energy. Every other motor gets to the throat in a different way. And so this is part of why it's so fast acting, because it literally is the sacral directly to the throat. And so, would it ramp up other manifesting generators? Probably, quite frankly, just because not every manifesting generator has the 3420. So I feel like the whole planet is probably going to get a bit of um, just a bit of juice. you know?
Okay, I can't help but ask this next question. Everyone becoming a manifesting generator for that period, would the way I become as a generator be the same as a reflector that becomes, or do they bring their reflector quality to that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. We all have our natal chart, and that is who we are. Like
Sure.
this channel coming on doesn't make everybody a manifesting
The same.
generator that
Yeah.
needs to follow their authority or whatever. It's just saying that it's bringing this manifesting generator energy into your design in a way that if you're interested in trying to suss it out, you might feel, right? Like because it's going to be on and defined in everybody. But yes, if you're a reflector, you're still going to be a reflector, and if you're a generator, you're still going to be a generator.
And what are those dates again, Christine?
Uh,
Just want to mark up. Yes, I do have a lot of manifesting generators around me
yes,
anyway.
yes, you do. The 21st to the 26th.
Okay, that's 5 days. We can do
Time
this.
to lay low. No.
Yeah.
I was thinking of going somewhere.
I was going to say, book a quick trip. Yeah, but this is the thing. You really can't go anywhere. There's just other manifesting
Oh, that's
generators on that end too.
Well, that's kind of the story everywhere, right? There is no there anymore.
Right. There's no way.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys. This was fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. So thank you for being with us, and we hope we'll see you next time.